I haven't seen any real direct comparisons between Raidho and RAAL, so I decided to compare their performance. I don't have a Raidho branded speaker available for comparison, so Scansonic will have to stand in this shootout. These speakers are designed by Michael Borison, who is the same designer for Raidho speakers. Some have said that this is the same tweeter used in Raidho, and others have described it as Raidho DNA, but functionally it will stand in for Raidho in this shootout. The three speakers being compared today are the $2,300 Scansonic MB-1 and the $1,700 Ascend Acoustics Sierra 2 EX and the $3,800 Salk Silk. The Scansonic MB-1 is the smallest speaker at approximately 900 inches cubed, while the Sierra 2 EX and Salk Silk are roughly the same size and about 30% bigger than the MB-1 by volume. The Scansonic MB-1's ribbon tweeter, with a Raidho-style racetrack-shaped waveguide around it, is about the same size as the Salk Silk's 7020 RAAL ribbon tweeter, while the Ascend Sierra 2 EX visually has the smallest ribbon. The MB-1 has the smallest woofer with a 4.5-inch carbon fiber cone, while the Salk Silk uses the 5.5-inch Scanspeak Illuminator paper cone, and the Ascend Sierra 2 EX uses a 6-inch Sayus woven poly woofer. The Salk Silk has a standard MDF cabinet. The Sierra 2 EX has a bamboo cabinet, which makes it quite exotic, as it's much more effective than standard MDF in reducing vibrations. And then there's the MB-1, which has probably the fanciest cabinet, made of MDF reinforced with a sheet of carbon, and is also curved back on both the baffle and the sides to reduce diffraction effects. Here are the frequency response plots in Dirac Live of the three speakers. Tonally, when listening to these speakers, it was clear that the Salk Silk had the flattest and most extended sound. The Sierra 2 EX sounded a lot like the Salk Silk, but was a bit brighter and had somewhat less bass extension. Finally, the Scansonic MB-1 sounded a little rolled off on the top end and also had very peaky upper bass tilt that seemed like a design choice to make up for the fact that there was little to no bass extension with the woofer. The MB-1 really must be paired with a subwoofer and requires probably the most room correction out of the three speakers to get the proper tonality. However, despite ranking the MB-1's last in terms of out-of-the-box tonality, surprisingly, it ended up being my most preferred speaker, with both the RAAL 6410 in the Sierra 2 EX and the 7020 in the Salk Silk. There was an obvious discontinuity going on between the tweeter and the woofer. The RAAL tweeters created a vast and wide soundstage that simply didn't mesh with the woofer, and it sounded like I was listening to separate transducers. On the other hand, whether due to the smaller 4.5-inch driver or the use of a waveguide to control dispersion at the crossover frequency, the Scansonic MB-1 sounded almost like a point source and imaged not much differently than many of the standard two-ways I've heard, such as the RAAL M105 that I also have. If I had to take as is, and I had no ability to measure, tweak, or equalize any of the speakers, and they were all at the same price points, I would probably take the Salk Silk due to it having the best tonal response out of box. And if I was price sensitive, the Sierra 2 EX easily gives you the best bang for the buck, as it's essentially a slightly brighter Salk Silk with a little less base extension for $2,000 less than the Salk Silk and $600 less than the Scansonic MB-1. But assuming one had room correction and a subwoofer available and the time to do tweaking, my opinion is the MB-1 would stand out as the best performer due to its ability to image like a point source. The vertical axis dispersion, while not as good as a dome tweeter, was also quite good and seemed a little better than the RAAL tweeters.